Hello everyone and welcome to this week's sound design tutorial. Today I'm going to walk through making this lead sound here, which I think sounds kind of like a whale crying. It's probably easier if I just show you what it sounds like. All right, let's dig in. So instead of building this patch from scratch like we usually do, I think I can just walk through this patch and describe what's going on because it's a relatively simple patch. And also I'm going to give a link in the description of this video to download the patch, so you should have no problem setting it up just like I have it. So the first thing we should look at is this Granular Engine up in the top left. So if I isolate that, it sounds like this. And it's a vocal chop going through this Granular Engine. And that's kind of the whole crux of this patch, is using like human vocals in a kind of a bizarre way to make it sound alien and underwater and kind of like a whale crying. And if you use different vocal samples, you can probably get a wide range of cool usable patches. But I've been using this vocal chop sample for over a decade. I really like it. So if you download the patch, you'll be able to use this same sample. I have the Granular Engine set up so that we have a density of about 3 grains playing back for this vocal sample. And what a grain is kind of like a tiny little clip of this vocal chop. How tiny it is depends on how you have it set up. In this case, I have actually a pretty large grain, like over 1 second. But if I play this back, you can see these little dots appear on the granular generator, and those are representing kind of like if this were like a tape sampler, like it's like the playback head of a tape machine. So it's kind of visualizing where in this audio waveform are we playing back. So other than the vocal sample itself and the number of grains, the next most important thing in the Granular Engine is these random parameters at the bottom, because the Granular Engine is going to randomly choose which parts of this waveform to play back. And you can control that with these parameters. So when I play this back, you can see some of these dots actually travel backwards. So that would be this reverse parameter, which is set to 30%, so that like 30% of these grains will play backwards. And you can control other things like the position, timing, pitch, level, and pan. The only other thing to say about the Granular Engine is just this envelope. There's like a medium attack of 100 milliseconds and a pretty long decay of 3 seconds and a pretty long release of 5 seconds. I also have this LFO hooked up to the gain of the overall generator so that we get this nice vibrato. So the Granular Engine is doing a good job of creating this kind of cool alien vocal texture, but it's a little tinny. So I'm going to bring in the second oscillator, which is a sine wave tuned to the second harmonic. In other words, it's an octave up from our fundamental frequency. And there is some FM being routed, or rather phase modulation being routed. So the granular part of this is interacting with the sine wave oscillator. So I have some FM set to, actually a pretty generous amount of 33%, and it sounds like this. Yeah, so this actually makes the sound much more solid and stable. I think it's what makes it usable as like a lead patch rather than just kind of like a cool ambient texture. And a couple other things about the sine wave oscillator. There is also vibrato on this whole part of the patch. But in addition to that, there is vibrato from a separate LFO going to the pitch. So the sine wave gets a little more thickness by adding this pitch LFO in. And the other thing about this pitch LFO is this envelope with a pretty long attack and long release gets multiplied with this LFO, and what that will do is it will slowly increase the vibrato. So just with these two sound sources, we already have a really nice texture to work with, and from here it's pretty much just sculpting it and adding some effects to make it whiter or more wet. And in this case, I actually just dropped on this lead sauce effect rack, which I like quite a bit. This is actually from a pack I bought from Dosh Glitch. And so just to respect Dosh, I am going to not include this lead sauce effect rack in the patch I upload. I'll just put some of the stock like reverb and delay plugins. But yeah, if you want this lead sauce pack, you can get it from Dosh Glitch. If you don't know who he is, he's another YouTube content creator. But if you're on my channel, you probably already know who Dosh is because he's a much bigger content creator and he's a total wizard with Phase Plant and all the kilohertz products and tons of other cool stuff. So definitely give him check him out. This lead sauce effect rack has high pass filtering, delay, some shimmer reverb, more reverb, stereo spread, more stereo spread, and some compression. And it really just sweetens everything up. And you know, you could actually really just build all this stuff with Phase Plant, but I'll still not include this effect rack in what I offer in the free download, just to respect Dosh. And I will show you what it sounds like with and without this lead sauce effect rack. That's without. Here's with the effects. Yeah, I love this rack because it pretty much just instantly sweetens everything up. And if you just play with these parameters, you can dial it in. Other than that, I didn't have to do too much sculpting. I did add a low pass filter for mixing this song, just to kind of get some of these upper frequencies out of the way. But you know what? For demoing this lead patch, like I kind of wanted this to be like the only thing we're paying attention to. So I'm going to turn this ladder filter off for now. And that's really all I have for today. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. I'm just going to play this track to close out the video. All right, bonus tip for anyone who made it to the end. I just realized while I was playing this out, there's one little small feature I forgot to mention, and I don't feel like re-recording all of that, so I'll just say this for a little bonus snack at the end of the video. There's this audio follower I have. This is cool modulator and Phase Plant, and what this will do is when the dry signal comes in, we will increase the audio follower. So kind of just like how like a side chain compressor, like you'll kind of have the envelope of the signal come in. That's kind of the same thing as an audio follower. So basically, as the audio of our generators gets loud, we have this modulator which we can use. And what I used it for in this case was to get this lead sauce effect rack out of the way a little bit. So it just cuts the mix of that down by 20% based on the incoming audio. And so that, just makes these effects more apparent on the tail of the signal. All right, there's your bonus snack. See you next time.